Hello, class. It's me again. So we are now in week 5 or quarter 1. So let us take a look of what we have for today. So I have properties of operation on integers. At the end of this, you can illustrate the different properties of operations on the set of integers. We have the closure, commutative, associative, distributive, identity, and inverse. You try to remember those things. Then we have to identify the properties of operations on the set of integers used in the given statement. So for the first property, we have the closure property. It states that two integers that are added and multiplied remain as integers. So, for example, we have A, B, C. We have A and B are as integers. We can expect that C is also an integer. So, when you add A and B, it becomes C. And A times B is equals to C. So, it denotes a certain value. Remember, in math, we assign a certain number to letters. So that's why we have A, B, C. We give them a certain value. So in our case for today, we will treat them as integers. Next one. So here are examples of closure property. For example, we have 15 is an integer, 16 is also an integer. So the result is an integer, 31. So just like 25 plus negative 6 is equals to 19. 3 times 7 is equals to 21. Negative 8 times 9 is negative 72. Those are considered integers. So, closure property. So, take a look at the closure property. So, 8 plus 7 is equals to what? 5 plus 9 is equals to what? Negative 20 plus 25 is what? Integer. Blank, what is that integer that when you multiply to 7 becomes 70? So 20 times integer is equals to 100. Are you done? So I think you can guess. If you guess it right, if you have the following, then you guess it right. For example, so for the number 1, we have 15, 2 is 14, 3 is 5, 4 is 10, and number 5 is 5. So they are very unique numbers. The next one is commutative property. So commutative property is states that changing the order of two numbers that are either being added or multiplied does not change the value. But in the subtraction and division, we are not applying the commutative. So we have, for example, A plus B is just the same as B plus A. It's not It's not C class. Pardon, forgive me. So it's a typographical error. So it's A. So A times B is equals to B times A. So you just change the order. The A comes first on the left side. The other one, B, comes first on the other side. So they are just the same. It will not affect the value or the result. Then we have now, example, we have 20 plus 30 is the same as 30 plus 20. Uh, Let us try to prove because 20 plus 30 is 50 and 30 plus 20 is 50. So, and the property is actually true because no matter how you change the order, it does not affect the result. So it's still 50. So, for example, we have negative 10 and then you added to 9 and then 9 you added to negative 10. They are still the same as stated by the commutative property because negative 10 plus 9 is negative 1 and 9 plus negative 10 is negative 1. They are just the same. Negative 1 is the same as negative 1. That is commutative property. So no matter how you exchange the order or change the order, it will not affect the sum. Just like in your whatever you do, what do you do in the at home? Sometimes you eat first before you take a bath, or you take a bath first before you eat. Something like that. It does not affect the sum or the result. It's still the same. You are full and you are clean at the same time. No? So the next one is commutative property. So we have 25 plus 75 is the same as blank plus 25. So what can be what can fill in the blanks? Number two is blank times 5 is the same as 5 times 8. 3 is 13 plus blank is 17 plus 13. Number 4 is negative 6 plus 1. No, times 1 is blank times negative 6. Okay, let us see. Uh-huh. If your answer is 75 for the number 1, then you are correct. Because 25 and 75 is 100, and 75 and 25 is 100. You have 8. Yes. 8 times 5, 40. 5 times 8 is 40. 13 plus 17 is the same as 17 plus 13. It's 30. Negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. So that can be, that can, that is a missing data or number. What's the next one? Associative property. It states that changing the grouping of numbers that are either being added or multiplied does not change its value. Meaning whenever you make groupings in here and there, it will not affect the value. So for example, you have your own set of friends in your at home. Then you can have another set of friends in the school. No matter what you do, no matter you how you regroup yourself, still you become uh, still what we call that one is associative property. So it means to say just like in the number here, so can A and B, when you add them and then you add to letter C or another number, it's the same as adding B and C first before adding to A. So just like A times B are multiplied to C, or A, you multiply it to the product of B and C. But subtraction and division are not associative again. Just like commutative. No, uh, they're not having this kind of associative property and commutative property. So let us have a clearer understanding of this associative property. So for example, 2 and 7 plus 5 is the same as 2 plus 7 plus 5. So meaning to say you add first the 2 and 7. So it's 9 plus 5 is 14. In the other side, we have 2. You added to the sum of 7 and 5. That is 12. So 12 plus 2 is 14. Here, 9 plus 5 is 14. So they are just the same. For example, another number 2 is 4. You added to the sum of 9 and 1. So 4 and 10 is 14. So on the other side, you added the sum of 4 and 9 to 1. So 4 and 9 is 13 plus 1 becomes 14. So they are just the same. Regrouping, something like that. So 3, you have 10 and 5. You multiply first before you multiply to 6. So 50 and 6 becomes 300. Where on the other side, you multiply 10 to the product of 5 and 6. Oh, so multiply 5 and 6, that's 30 times 10, that's 300. So 300, same as 300. So you see, it will not affect the sum or the product no matter how you regroup the factors. So let's proceed to the example, more example. No. So you complete the number sentence. You have now 10 plus 4 plus 6. Then what can be the missing number here? In the number 2, we have 1 plus the sum of 4 and 3. On the other side, the sum of 1 and 4 added to what number? On the number 3, we have there is a certain number multiplied by 5 before you multiply to 2. On the other side, we have 8. You multiply to the product of 5 and 2. What can this number be? What about number 4? You will multiply 7 to the product of 3 and a certain number. And in here, you multiply 7 and 3 to 9. I hope you can see the relation. Okay, so let's proceed. Ayun. So I hope you got this one correctly. So 10 4 6, 10 4 6, 1 4 3, 1 4 3, something like that, no? So 8 5 2, 8 5 2, something like telephone number. 7 and 3 and 9, and then 7 3 9. A shortcut method. But in reality, you have to check by computation. So 10 and 4, 14 plus 6 is 20. 10 plus 10 becomes 20. So 1 and then 7 is 8. 5 and 3 is 8. So 8 times 5 is 40, times 2 is 80. 8 times 5 and 2 is 10. 10 times 8 is 80. So you just have to compute them so that you can check they are equality, if they are equal. So 3 times 9 is 27 times 7. Yun lang. Diba? So 27 times 7. So 20 times 7 is 140. And 7 times 7 is 49. Ilan na? 49 plus 140 is 189. Something like that. So 21 times 9. 21 times 9, 1 times 9. Tapos, uh, 20 times 9 is 18, 189. That's correct. Just the same. I applied the distributive property class. So, exactly, the fourth one is the distributive property. It's actually the shortcut method. Anyway, so distributive property is when two numbers have been added or subtracted together and then multiplied by a factor. The result will be the same when each number is multiplied by the factor and the products are then added or subtracted. So just like A added to B and C, the product is the same as the product of AB and then the product of A and then C. Or it can be B minus C can be A and the product of A and B minus the product of A and C. To make it more clear, okay, to make it clearer. So we have now, for example, 2 plus 7. You can do something like 3 times 2 plus 3 times 7. You can expand, something like that, expansion. No? So 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 7 is 21. So it becomes 27. Okay, so let us see. 2 plus 7 is 9, times 3 is 27. So just the same. You can check with this one. So what about 9 minus 1 is 8 times 4. 8 times 4, 32. Yeah. So 4 times 9 is 36 minus 4. So 32. Okay, so 32, just the same. 10 plus 2 is 12. Okay, times 8. So it becomes now 8 times 10, 80 plus 8 times 2. Sometimes it is going to be easier when you break them down, no? Spacing like that. So 80 plus 16 is 96, no? So just like this one, 12 plus 8 is when you multiply, so 16 plus 80 is 96. Just the same. It is easier for me to have some expansion before you add. That is distributive property style. Number 4, 5 times 4 minus 6. So it is negative 2 times 5 is what? Negative 10. So let us try to prove. 5 times 4 is 20 minus 5 times 6 is 30. So it becomes negative 10. Just the same. Okay, another distributive property. So 6 plus the sum of 4 and 2. So what can be the missing number? What can fill in the blanks? I'll give you 5 seconds. I hope you can see the relation for number 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's have number next one. Let us check if we are correct. Are you correct? Did you get it correctly? I hope so. So 6 and 4, we have 6. 6 and 6 can be multiplied by 4 and then by 2. 5, 9 minus 1 can be 9 and 1 can be expanded, and then 5 can be distributed. That's why it is distributive property. You are distributing the factor to the difference or to the number being added or being subtracted. So distributive property. So 8 you distribute to 4 and you distribute to 9. Meaning you multiply each before you add. And then number 4, I hope you can see the relation here being multiplied. 4 is 2 being multiplied to 2 and 6 being multiplied to 2. So in here, I hope you have seen the relationship. So 2 is being multiplied or multiplying the difference of 4 and 6. Okay, we have now the fifth one. We have the identity property. Are you, maybe you have something in mind. How many properties do we have to talk about? We're just going to talk about six. So we're on the fifth one. So identity property is actually, we have two, additive identity and multiplicative identity. States that the sum of any number and zero is the given number. So 0 is the additive identity. And for this multiplicative identity, it states that the product of any number and 1 is the given number. So for example, a or any number multiplied by 1 is the result will be the number itself. Here, for the addition, any number you added to 0, that number will be the result or the answer. Let us see. So just like for example, 4 plus 0 is 4, negative 10 plus 0 is negative 10. You see, something like the identity or something like you, something like in your ID. What you see in your ID, it's you. So it reflects of who you are, something like this. When you see 0, you do not think of the 0 anymore, but think of the number you added to 0, something like that. Then when you multiply any number by 1, you think of the number but not 1 anymore. So it's very identity. From the word identity, it's just a reflection of the number being multiplied to 1 or added to 0. The next, so maybe you are, it's very easy for you now. Now, any number you added to 0 will be mm, mm. Any number you multiply to 1 will be mm, I will not elaborate anymore because I know it's a very easy. Thank you. So let's proceed. The last one, wow, inverse property. So we have additive inverse states that the sum of any number and its additive inverse is 0. The additive inverse of a positive number is the negative of that number. So for example, you have A, the additive inverse of that is negative A. So for multiplicative inverse, it states that the product of any number and its multiplicative inverse or reciprocal is what? The multiplicative inverse of the number A is 1 over A. So for example, A times 1 over A is equals to 1. So like that. Remember, A has a denominator of 1. Remember that all the numbers, its denominator is 1. Yun ang tandaan ninyo. Okay, so example, 6 times 1, 6 is 1. Negative 22 times 1 over negative 22 is 1. For 7 times 7 fourths is 28 over 28 or simply 1. 5 eighths times 8 over 5 or 8 fifths is 40 over 40 or 1. So they are reciprocal. Mhm. Okay, I hope you can have this one. Can identify the property used in each of the statements. Remember, in math, if you have seen the equality sign or the inequality sign or symbol, you have the left values and the right values. These are considered statements. So, number 1 to 10. I'll give you time to think about it. What property is used? hmm So let us see if you have got this one correctly. The first one is identity. The second one is distributive. The other one is commutative. The fourth one is identity, closure property. The sixth one is associative property, inverse property, commutative property. Nine is inverse, and 10 is distributive property. Rewrite the following expression using the given property. This will be the next one. You rewrite this one as using the distributive property. I hope you can still remember what is what it is look it what it looks like, distributive one, distributive property. And here we have associative property. The third one is the commutative property. The fourth one is identity property. And the third one is the inverse property. Okay, let us see. Mm-hmm. See that? I hope you got it correctly. So that's it. Okay, let us now have a real math. Math in the real world, no? So for example, Angelo and Kate order sausage and pepperoni on their pizza. What properties or property can be applied? What do you think? Okay. So if your answer is about a commutative property, then you are correct. Okay, another one we have Joy has 5 notebooks and her brother has 8. If we double both amount, how many do they have altogether? What do you think? What property is being applied? If your answer is distributive property, then you are correct because you added first or multiplied or doubled by. When you say doubled, it means times 2. Okay, so for your assessment, I want I just want you to look at this and then try to write down in your pad paper or paper, whatever you want, or PM me the answer. So for number 1 to 15, you can browse. I'll just show you. Then you can stop the video and then focus on it. Okay, so that's 1 to 3. Then we have 1 to 4, 4 to 6. You can go back to this one. Then we have 7 to 9 or 10. And this one. You PM me the correct answer. And then, thank you. I hope you learned something and I hope you try to understand. Thank you for trying to understand, especially me. Thank you.